Hey everyone, Carl here with Literate Lessons, bringing you a Series 11 primer. This is going to be a new type of video where we kind of just talk about Series 11 before we have to start playing and testing for it. For those that may not know, Series 11 was announced Thursday night into Friday morning via home. Just like how Series 10 was leaked a little bit early, Series 11 has been handed out just a little bit early for players so they can be expecting what the new rule set will be so they can test for it and stuff like that. However, there will probably be little need for testing as Series 11 has been confirmed as Series 8, which what that is you get one restricted and Pokemon can Dynamax, which Series 10 is one restricted, no Dynamax. So it'll be interesting to see what tech from Series 10 carries over into Series 11 and can be utilized effectively. So the big differences between Series 10 and Series 11 come down to how Dynamax affects the game in general. Series 10 offers a lot of dynamic team building, which is more to say that your choices matter a lot more when you're team building in Series 10 than what they did when you're playing in like Series 8 or when you're playing right now in your potential Series 11 format. Dynamax makes the game more aggressive and a little bit faster, mainly because you get extra boosts. You boost speed, you can boost attack and boost defenses and stuff like that. Whereas Series 10 relies on setup a lot more. Things like Power Herb Xerneas, Intrepid Sword Zacian becomes much more powerful. Setting up things with like Fiery Dance Volcarona or Follow Me to plus setup move and stuff like that. So I'm excited to see what tech from Series 10 when it comes to like the terms of setup maybe gets carried over into Series 11 to kind of supplement the Dynamax even more. Talking about Dynamax again, you kind of just feel like Dynamax removes skill, which isn't saying that it's bad to play with Dynamax that way. Without Dynamax, Series 10 just has more skill into it. The player has more control. The player has more responsibility to make the right play. Whereas if you make the wrong play in Series 10, you can get super duper punished. However, in Series 11, you have that Dynamax button, which is essentially a get out of jail free card. If you've played Monopoly, you kind of understand that. Players get to be more greedy when it comes to their choices and when it comes to their move choices and move selections and things like that, because they can Dynamax and get out of it and kind of pivot away from that if they need to. Another big difference here is we kind of got to see how unbalanced the Sword and Shield Pokemon are in a non-Dynamax format. Think Urshifu and Zacian and stuff like that. Whereas in Series 11, those Pokemon will become more balanced, and we get to see cool strategies come back out, like Stall, Perish Trap, damage over time, whittling them down situations and stuff like that become a much more prominent part of the game. And to get into that damage over time, our first Pokemon up today to talk about that I think is going to make a big impact is Blastoise. So Blastoise, if you aren't aware, has a Gigantamax form. It is G-Max Cannonade is the signature move there. It deals damage over time if you're anything but a water type, which is really, really cool in this format where water types were harder to come by in Series 8, mainly because everyone was playing Kyogre. If you were playing a water type, you usually were playing Kyogre and stuff like that. But Blastoise started to make a resurgence in Series 8 at the tail end for during Players' Cup stuff as a very powerful Gigantamax option for the teams that wanted to play like Zacian and stuff like that. It also paired really well with like Registeel or other Stally Steel types like Metagross, to where you could mitigate fire and ground weaknesses on them without having to set up rain for Kyogre and stuff like that. It'll definitely be interesting to see how Blastoise fares with Venusaur and Charizard also being in the format. I know Venusaur is probably heads and shoulders above everybody else on their tier lists of which Kanto starter is the best in whatever format, mainly because it has access to the fast sleep powder and chlorophyll with Gigantamax, G-Max Vine Lash and all that stuff. And Charizard being solar power and whatever. Blastoise got the short end of the stick. The best ability for it is Torrent, unfortunately. But Gigantamax Blastoise still has a lot going for it, and I definitely expect it to make a good impact on the Series 11 format. Next up, we've got Umbreon. Umbreon falls into this Stally drawn out kind of game plan, trying to slow down the game a little bit to make their Dynamax turns not mean as much. Unfortunately, this is counterintuitive with the way the Gigantamax like Blastoise, Venusaur, Colossal, and all that work. It takes damage over time from all of those. However, Umbreon has things like Moonlight to kind of gain that HP back. It usually carries leftovers to just add on to that HP recovery. And it could also be a good chip away tool with things like Foul Play, Snarl, Baby Doll Eyes, and stuff like that. I expect Umbreon to at least show up in early Series 11. It definitely made its presence known early on in Series 8, and as the format developed, it kind of disappeared and was kind of replaced by other Pokemon. Registeel is the big one that comes to mind when you just think of drawn-out, stally Pokemon. But I think Umbreon's going to be very, very powerful, mainly because fighting's going to be less prominent. You don't tend to Dynamax fighting types very much, mainly because Max Knuckle is so weak. Whereas in previous formats, you wanted the attack buff and stuff like that. Well, now you don't have to worry about it. You can usually just do a Swords Dance on your Zacian or whatever, and you'll be fine. So I expect Umbreon to make its presence known, but then kind of dip back into the shadows as Series 11 develops. Next up, we have Entei. Entei is a passover from Series 10. It's seeing a lot of play right now as like Choice Scarf variants or paired with Groudon in like a Sun Cherrim Groudon team. And I think Entei is going to carry over and keep its tradition of being the best and most played legendary dog, mainly because it's just a really good fire type. Being immune to Intimidate when Intimidate is super duper popular is very good. You have access to things like Stone Edge and ground coverage to combat some of the more unique Pokemon. Stone Edge significantly is very, very good, mainly because flying types are going to be popular again in the Dynamax formats. Having access to max Airstream and stuff like that, you're going to want to max your Celesteelas, you're going to want to max your Galarian Moltres and stuff like that because you want those Airstream boosts and all that nonsense. So Entei overall is going to be a very good Pokemon again. I expect it to take a big bite out of the Series 11 format and maybe even get close to being like the second best fire type, period. Right now, it's this kind of third, fourth best fire type because there's Incineroar and Arcanine's in the format in Series 10 because you got Intimidate and stuff like that. But I think Entei is going to be probably the second best fire type in Series 11, hands down. Next up, we have Gothitelle. For those that may not know, Gothitelle saw a lot of play in Series 9 as this very trapping Pokemon, very bulky trapper with Shadow Tag. It also has competitive, which is very prominent in Series 10, but that's mainly due to the fact that Intimidate's so popular. So it'll be interesting to see how the abilities and whatnot change as Gothitelle evolves into the Series 11 Pokemon. But back to what Gothitelle offers that most Pokemon don't is just the overall just being able to Shadow Tag other Pokemon in and having like Zacian sitting next to it and being able to take out a Pokemon because it can't switch out. If your opponent calls your lead wrong and you just slap Gothitelle plus high damage output next to it, a lot of the time your opponent can't come back from that. You get to either A, force out a Dynamax, or B, take out a Pokemon before you lose your Gothitelle, or even take out two Pokemon before you lose Gothitelle. Gothitelle is really good at being this 2-for-1 trade, or this good 1-for-1 without actually having to use damage moves. It's really, really cool. Gothitelle also gets access to good utility like Fake Out, Trick Room, and stuff like that. So definitely expect to see Gothitelle more as Series 11 develops, and we get to these teams that are hyper offensive and really hard to lead against. Next up, we've got the meme team, the dream team, Chansey and Shuckle. These two are infamous in Sword and Shield history right now, mainly because they just create terrible game states and people just hate them. I'm gonna be completely honest. People hate this combo. I hate this combo. It is not fun to play with, play against, all that stuff. I don't see how people enjoy this. I guess maybe they just enjoy winning. I don't know. But the way this works is Chansey has low defense but really high HP. Shuckle has very good defense stats. So you guard split with the Chansey. You get to boost your defense on Chansey. Chansey then uses Minimize and Soft Boil to just stall the game out. to a point where you can win by using seismic toss or get it into a 1v1 situation, and Chansey's going to win that every time anyway. So definitely be on the lookout for Chansey Shuckle when you're team building, when you're playing on ladder, when you're playing an event or whatever for Series 11. It was very popular in every format besides Series 10, and I think it's going to stay popular in every format besides Series 10. Last on my list today, Registeel. So Registeel does a lot like what Umbreon does. You kind of get bulky, stall the game out. You have a good damaging move in Body Press or Iron Head usually. Clear Body means you don't have to worry about stat drops. So things like Max Wormwind don't affect you. I'm trying to remember. Max Phantasm reduces defense. Max Darkness reduces special defense. So you don't have to worry about any of those. And any stats you do gain are going to pretty much be permanent outside of like Haze. So definitely be on the lookout for Registeel. It's probably going to be one of the best non-restricted steel types in the game. Next to maybe Metagross. Metagross with Weakness Policy does so much damage that you could probably get away with calling Metagross the number 1, and Registeel's probably going to be that number 2. Registeel's usually paired with like flying types to reduce like your need to reduce your fear of ground, or you could slap Blastoise alongside it like we saw in Players' Cup a lot, where it just ticks away at those ground and fire types over time, and Registeel just doesn't care. You could also pair it like on Kyogre teams, so you don't have to ever worry about any of that nonsense because rain is up. So definitely be on the lookout for Registeel. It's going to be a great Pokemon, I feel like, in this format, and kind of just pick right up where it left off at the tail end of Series 8. And with that being said, I want to thank you all for hanging out and listening to me ramble about the potential of Series 11 and all that. These videos, this was a fun video. I enjoyed making this. It's a whole lot of fun. Definitely leave a comment down below what you think of this kind of video. If you like it, if you hate it. I'm kind of interested in getting feedback from y'all. Make sure to check us out on Twitter, LR Lessons, Mr. Missouri 25, Musical VGC. Handles are there on screen right now for you. Check out the Discord link in the description down below. That's where you can talk VGC, football, sports, whatever movie you watched this week. I've heard Venom 2 was really, really good, so you can come talk about that if you want to talk about that. And remember to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the comment button, or not hit the comment button, leave a comment down below. Goodness, I don't know what I'm talking about today. Anywho, thank you all for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and we will see you all tomorrow with the podcast episode. Bye, everyone.